I think one of the biggest misnomers about hip hop in particular is people really, really don't know or understand how much thought and time and wit and actual strategy goes into, especially from the MC side of the equation. I said, we were talking a little early today, and they were like, save it till we get outside. I'm like, it is what it is, we'll handle it. But we come from a generation, I'm a little older than Moe, but we come from a generation of hip hop that I call the Renaissance era. And I call it the Renaissance era because we're old enough to remember and know, I mean really know, live through the Last Poets and the Gil Scott-Herons and the guys that laid the groundwork on the poetic side. And when hip hop came in, the DJ is kind of like the architect. He's like the backbone for the most part. And I remember, and I said, you know, one of the biggest debates in hip hop all the time was, what would the MC be without the music? I was like, oh, it would be spoken word. And I said, but not really, because quite frankly, and a lot of my peers would be a little angry at this, but we were a little more pedestrian and simplistic. It was a little too simplistic to really be spoken word. And what was happening at that time, as the marriage was happening between the music and the rhyme, simultaneously, what was going on is we were trying to find ways to not only express ourselves, but to almost complement the music. And that's why I said that the early part of hip hop, there is no such thing as hip hop music. So in many ways, it's the MC that takes the hip hop into the space where people can recognize it as hip hop. Because we're just rhyming on, whether it's Cheryl Lynn's To Be Real, Chic, Good Times, go even further back, rhyming over Jane Brown's beat. There is nobody making actual hip hop music. So the MC rhyming on it and putting that spoken aspect to it is what gives it the definition on many words. But again, a sandwich is a sandwich because of the bread and the meat. So, you know, we get into that, well, it's the meat, it's the bread, it's both. It's the DJ and the MC. And I come from an era also, which I said, you know, a lot of people may know, and Moe Dee touched on it a little bit, it's like a beef with hell. Battle is one aspect of hip hop that is in many ways overrated and simultaneously underrated. And I say that because, truthfully, I come from a generation where we've been basically fighting the whole time. In our generation of hip hop, they said it wasn't real music and it would never last, it was just gonna be a fad. So every single year, it was like a countdown to when this was gonna end. So Rappers Alike comes out in '79, they're like, ah, it's a one-off, it's a one-hit, those guys, chicken that tastes like wood, what is that? That makes no sense, great. The next year, we get into 1980, and it's Curtis Blow's, these are the breaks, break it up, break down. Cute little record, but it's not gonna last, who's gonna live with that? We get to 1981, my group, we do Treacherous 3, we do Feel a Heartbeat. 82, finally, The Message comes out. And that same year in April, The Message was July, same year in April, Planet Rock comes out. And simultaneously, you start to feel that it went almost instantaneously from the hood into this global kind of space where people started paying attention. And the reason I say we were battling and struggling is because the whole time we're yelling, we have value, there's something here, hear us. Now again, the separation amongst MCs and the styles and the different types of MCs, I mean, it's just tons of different layers. It would be the equivalent of a little black boy in Harlem trying to decipher the difference between rock, acid rock, and metal. All sound like guitar to us. But if you don't come from the culture and you don't study, you really, really don't understand that there's a vast difference between a Heavy D, a Will Smith, a Chuck D, and even into an MC Hammer for more of the popular guys later on. So right around 1982, when The Message came, I remember almost like a paradigm shift consciously, where we started to really, really think of ourselves from the first time as actual potential artists. Like you have a platform that we can actually speak. So, and I'm fast forwarding to come back to that in a minute. What I'm doing right now is I'm filming a TV show. It's called Behind the Rhyme. Because I am singularly, not singularly, but collectively with a lot of my friends, but I'm really, really dedicated to bringing forth the image and the understanding that there is intelligent hip hop on the planet. And I mean, not only that, I mean, if you talk to, and I said this earlier, I was talking about Ice Cube. Ice Cube's success, Will Smith's success, Queen Latifah's success, even my old rival LL's success, that isn't just an accident. A lot of thought. When you listen to Ice Cube on NWA, you might look at the content and see the profanity and think, okay, this is just a thug, you know, coming from. Ice Cube actually went to school, actually graduated. He actually understood publishing before a lot of the guys, which is why he left in the first place. And his whole thought process was, he was doing what he needed to do from an artistic side on one hand, but to get the platform to do what he really wanted to do. And that's why he's doing what he's doing at the level that he's doing now. When Moe Dee just broke down Latifah saying, I want to do a song, you know, to inspire women, and, you know, call to action kind of situation, that's the kind of thought process that goes into 90% of what was happening, at least from the Renaissance and the golden era of hip hop. We had to think outside the box. We had to think of ways, because radio wouldn't give us any airplay. We had, for the first time, a generation of children coming up, which our own forefathers, our adults, didn't embrace. They said this wasn't real, this wasn't good, we don't like it, turn that music down. Imagine if we could just turn the music down and do what they said, we wouldn't have the art form that we have to this day. So the thought process, when we're making these records and when we're doing these rhymes, it really, really comes from a layered perspective. It's not just a me, myself, and I. Now again, the battle thing that I was doing, you know, that's MC to MC, it's bravado, it's braggadocio, and even in that level, I made a record called How You Like Me Now, and that was basically in 1987. I had gone solo, left my group Treacherous 3, and I was getting it. Oh man, they were letting me have it in the hood. Run DMC was hot, Fat Boys were hot, LL had just came out, Houdini was hot, and they were like, well, what happened? and in the record, you know, I started off and say, I throw my tape on, then watch it. 3 seconds later, I got you, shaking your head, dancing instead of sitting. The rhymes kick, the beat's hitting you, just like a home run, slamming like a slam dunk. Ride the wave, James Brown gave fuck. It happened to James like it happened to me. How you think it feels to see another MC get paid? Using my rap style, and I'm playing the background. Meanwhile, I ain't with that. You can forget that. You took my style, I'm taking it back. Coming back like Return of the Jedi. Sucker MCs in a place that said I could only rock rhymes and only rock crowds, but never rock records. How You Like Me Now. The purpose of that record was